From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Aylia Batool. Hundreds rally in New York urging U.S. restraint as tensions rise. Details of this rally and more in our today's show. Stay tuned. A senior Pentagon officer has been removed from his post over controversial anti-Israel social media posts. Colonel Nathan McCormack has called Israel the U.S.'s worst ally and accused Washington of enabling ethnic cleansing. He served as chief of the Levant and Egypt branch within the Joint Chiefs of Staff's Strategic Planning Unit. The Pentagon launched an internal investigation after Jewish News Syndicate exposed a linked X account. Posts reportedly criticized Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and labeled him a Judeo-supremacist. McCormack also blamed Western silence on Israel's actions, calling it Holocaust guilt. A Pentagon official said McCormack will return to his service unit during the probe. The Defense Department has stressed that his views do not reflect its official position. It said U.S. alliances remain vital for national security. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on Wednesday defended sending 4,000 National Guard troops and 700 Marines to Los Angeles. Facing questions on Capitol Hill, he claimed that deployments support local law enforcement and ICE officers amid immigration protests. Senator Richard Blumenthal called the move deeply disturbing and alarming. He pressed Hegseth on plans for deploying troops to other cities. Hegseth refused to comply with lower court rulings against deployments, claiming that courts should not set national security policy, refusing. He also said troops can detain in self-defense but not arrest. Hegseth dismissed claims about orders to fire on unarmed protesters. The Senate panel remains divided as tensions remain high over the use of military enforcement at home. The Justice Department has confirmed 4,000 job cuts under the Trump administration's controversial fork-in-the-road downsizing initiative. The program offered early resignations in exchange for an estimated $470 million in savings. More cuts are planned, including 1,500 positions at the FBI, 700 of which are already vacant. Officials claim the move will help focus on national security, border control, and violent crime. However, experts say essential roles have been axed, including plans to shut down the Community Relations Service, a civil rights-era office. Former department staff say many were forced out under threat of termination. Analysts warn that the cuts could severely damage the effectiveness of federal law enforcement. The initiative, backed by Elon Musk's informal Department of Government Efficiency, has been criticized for targeting crucial roles in areas like nuclear safety and civil rights. Some staff have even been rehired after their importance became clear. A massive Iranian missile barrage struck Israel early Thursday, injuring at least 271 people, according to Israeli officials. 4 people are in critical condition. Over 5,000 Israelis have been left homeless amid the escalating war, now threatening wider regional instability. Around 30 ballistic missiles hit key cities, including Tel Aviv and Beersheba, damaging the Israeli stock exchange in Soraka Hospital. Iran claims it targeted military sites near the hospital, accusing Israel of using it to treat soldiers involved in attacks on Gaza. Israel also launched airstrikes on Iran's Arak nuclear reactor and missile infrastructure. The Israeli army admits Iran retains missile launch capability. Meanwhile, Iranian sources say over 240 people, including women and children, have died in Israeli airstrikes since hostilities began last Friday. The U.S. has not yet confirmed involvement. President Donald Trump denied approving any attacks on Iran but warned of options. Russia and China have condemned Israel's strikes, urging diplomacy. No war on Iran. That was the rallying cry in the heart of Manhattan on Wednesday. Hundreds of protesters, including anti-war activists and Iranian Americans, gathered at Bryant Park in New York City on Wednesday to demand an immediate halt to Israel's military strikes on Iran. With tensions escalating in the region and fears of broader U.S. involvement growing, demonstrators called on Washington to step back from the brink of another war. Many in the crowd held signs urging de-escalation and diplomacy, some visibly emotional as they spoke about loved ones in Iran facing an uncertain future. The protest comes as President Donald Trump reportedly weighs options for U.S. response, raising alarms about a potential regional conflict. A hacker group allegedly linked to Israel carried out a cyber attack on Iran's cryptocurrency exchange, Nobitex. According to the Times of Israel, the hacker group Gonjeshke Darande issued a statement on its social media account claiming to have carried out a cyber attack on Nobitex. According to the statement, the assets remaining in Nobitex were at risk. The group, which claims to have hacked Iran's Sepa bank on Tuesday, has previously claimed responsibility for cyber attacks targeting Iran. History made in Virginia. Ghazala Hashmi becomes the first Muslim on a major party statewide ticket. This and more coming up next. Welcome back. Ghazala Hashmi has become the first Muslim candidate on a major party statewide ticket after winning a tight primary contest. She won the Democratic nomination for lieutenant governor in Virginia, joining a historic all-woman Democratic ticket with Abigail Spanberger for governor. Hashmi has vowed to fight back against what she called chaos in Washington and move forward on key issues for Virginians. The former professor began her political career in 2019 after defeating a Republican incumbent. Observers say November's vote could be a major signal ahead of the 2026 midterms and may give Virginia its first female governor. On Juneteenth today, advocates renewed calls for reparations for African Americans. Juneteenth is a federal holiday in the United States celebrated annually on June 19th to commemorate the end of slavery. Last week, activists met with mostly Democratic lawmakers in Washington, urging support for federal reparations legislation H.R. 40. The proposed bill was reintroduced by Senator Cory Booker and Representative Ayanna Pressley. It aims to establish a commission to study slavery reparations. Similarly, the Reparations Now resolution bill by Representative Summer Lee calls slavery a moral and legal crime that demands redress. However, with no Republican co-sponsors, both proposals face an uphill battle, and observers say they are unlikely to pass the GOP-controlled Congress. Brian Babin, a Republican representative from Texas, has already introduced a counterbill that would block federal funds for local reparation laws. This comes amid the Trump administration's backlash against diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. However, advocates say that H.R. 40 has inspired local reparation efforts in Illinois, New York, and California, and must remain on the national agenda. The Washington branch of the Council of American Islamic Relations, or CAIR Washington, is slamming the cancellation of a children's book event by Palestinian author Safa Suleiman. Suleiman was set to launch her book Hilwa's Gifts, which is a story about a boy's visit to his grandparents in Palestine at a local elementary school in Bellevue. However, the school abruptly canceled her visit mid-flight, saying it wanted to avoid what it said was politics. CAIR has called the move discriminatory and notes that Suleiman's children's books was apolitical and appropriate for kids. The school refused to reschedule the event. Later, the district admits that the visit by Suleiman was canceled due to a past blog post in which she wrote about her relatives being killed in Gaza. The author held a public reading in the city after the incident where attendees praised her story. Observers say the incident has sparked outrage over censorship. Critics also says it sends a damaging message to Arab and Muslim students. Civil defense teams and UN aid workers found the bodies of 15 Palestinians in northern Gaza on Wednesday. Israel killed them 5 days ago near Zikam while they were waiting for food aid. They were taken to the morgue at Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza City. The Palestinian Health Ministry said 20 people were killed earlier this week. Over 200 others were injured at different aid points. 50 of them are in critical condition. The Israeli military allows only limited aid into Gaza. This forced large crowds together at a few entry points where Israel has targeted and killed Palestinians waiting for food. Israel has killed at least 300 people while seeking aid since May 27th, Palestinian officials said. The United Nations says over 680,000 Palestinians have been forcibly displaced across Gaza in the past 3 months. UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric said Israeli forces issued fresh evacuation orders on Tuesday in Khan Yunis and Deir al-Balah. These new orders affected 5 neighborhoods and forced hundreds of families to flee again. 5 health centers and 3 medical points lie within 3,000 feet of the new evacuation zones, raising concerns for medical access. According to the UN's Humanitarian Office, OCHA, the new orders add another 3 square kilometers to already evacuated areas. Now, over 82% of Gaza falls under Israeli evacuation orders or is militarized. In just the last 30 days, nearly 250,000 people have been forced to flee. The UN says the mass displacement is worsening, threatening lives and vital infrastructure across the enclave. Israel killed at least 75 Palestinians and injured over 220 in strikes across Gaza. Medical sources say 29 people were killed while waiting for food aid on Salah al-Din Street near the Nazarem corridor. Strikes on shelters and tents in Al-Mawasi, Zaytun, and Maghazi camps killed dozens more, including children and women. A drone attack on a phone charging station in Shati camp killed 15, while strikes in Tel al-Hawa and Al-Mukhabbarat neighborhoods left more dead and injured. Helicopter attacks and air raids continued through the night. Israel has killed at least 300 people while seeking aid since May 27th, Palestinian officials said. Israel has killed over 64,000 Palestinians since the start of its genocide in the region in October 2023, according to the British medical journal The Lancet. The Palestinian health ministry reveals that more than 130,000 have been wounded since then. A disturbing link has been found between screen addiction and suicidal thoughts among teenagers. In a new study published in the American Medical Journal's publication JAMA, researchers followed over 4,000 children starting at ages 9 to 10. They found that by the age of 14, many had developed addictive behaviors, 1/3 to social media, 1/4 to phones, and over 40% to video games. Distinct from overall screen time, addiction symptoms like compulsive use and emotional dependency were linked to a 2 to 3-fold increase in suicide risks in the study. Youth who use screens to escape problems or obsess over apps were more vulnerable. Experts say the findings highlight that it's not just screen time, but how screens are used that matter. They also noted the need for early intervention as rising screen addiction among teens continued to impact mental health and potentially lead to tragic outcomes. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.